Welcome to Post-Burnout.com interviews. My name is Aaron Kavanagh and I'm the website's founder and editor-in-chief. Post-Burnout.com is a culture website dedicated to venerating burnt-out artists the world over. Our interviews are mainly recorded to be transcribed, but every now and again we release the audio in a series we call Post-Burnout.com interviews. If you enjoy what we do, be sure to subscribe. In this edition of Post-Burnout.com interviews, we speak with Charlie Fitzgerald and Rhii Williams of the Bristol pop-infused alt-rock band Little Thief. They talk about forming as a duo, expanding their band, playing some of the UK's biggest festivals, their new single On The Line, how crowdfunding saved their debut album when their label went bankrupt due to Brexit during the pandemic, how Ireland created Charlie's Fear of Horses, how the band feel they fit in the Bristol music scene, their upcoming tour of the UK, and more. Yeah, so I think the first thing I'd like to just start with is actually the beginning of Little Thief. So my understanding is that the band formed with just you guys actually in 2015, and then kind of like a snowball going downhill, it kind of gradually became bigger and bigger. And then I believe you started recording then in 2019. I was just wondering what you were kind of doing in between then.
From 2015, we formed this band. We were in another band together called Bombs, and through that, Fitzy and me became very close, and actually ended up in a relationship, which is where Little Thief was born. So we didn't really know how to hang out other than playing music together. So we did a lot of that,
and we still don't.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But yeah, so we did actually make an EP and did a lot of gigging and lots of festivals around that time, didn't we? But when we joined with the label Funnel, they wanted a fresh slate for us, so they removed everything that we'd done previous to that. So there was early Little Thief stuff. Okay. There are Little Thief recordings banging around.
It was very much we very much did a lot of stuff as a two-piece in the early kind of first few years, but it was really just playing in bars and playing at festivals, and
it's because we enjoyed it. It was for fun, really.
Yeah.
But kind of took over our lives a little bit because people seem to love this more than the other projects we were doing. So
yeah.
How do you think the band differed then as a two-piece versus like now as like a four-piece?
It's different, isn't it? It's so in a live sense, when there's just two of us, the freedom you have with being able to like fuck with the structure of the song.
You can't swear.
Can you not
swear? You can say what you want.
This is being a fit film.
That's all right.
Watch the language.
My mum won't mind. Yeah, so when it's just the two of us, it's you've got that freedom. You can play around with sections. You know, Fitz can go off on a tangent if he wants to, or so can I, which is quite cool. And the four piece is the reason we got the four piece together is to kind of try and emulate the sound of the record when we go live. You know, so we quite like doing it both ways, don't we?
Yeah. And the two piece was a lot more kind of upbeat and a bit more kind of fun.
Yeah.
And the four piece was a little bit more mature.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounding.
I also think that the band Little Thief is run by orchestrated by just the two of us, and the boys come in and out. Whenever we can gather,
when there's enough budget.
Yeah, you know what it's like with musicians, it's like herding cats, isn't it? So it's nice that we can do it.
We ring the cash.
Yeah. and they
come running
down.
No,
that's not true. They're not
Hello.
They're not like that. I would like to say that's
no,
not.
They're really not. They're really lovely.
They worked for so little for us. But that's not. I don't want that to go on record.
Big film.
I
know.
So when it kind of came to adding more people then to the group, I mean, obviously you guys have like a kind of unique dynamic. I was wondering what exactly were you kind of looking for then when it came to expanding?
Well, I think we asked Paul first.
He was quite early, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was a long time ago because we tried to make a record before the one we made and it was awful. But we asked Paul to kind of come in and play bass and some bass synth on that. And that was really, really fun. And then Ryan was kind of like a slow kind of integration. After we made the record with Stu,
Stu Jackson,
we kind of started. He kind of came in and he did a bit here and there, and then but now he lives with us and he does quite a lot with us when we can. That's kind of it, really.
Yeah, Stu Jackson put a lot a lot of synthy paddy stuff on the record. So when we did our album launch show, we wanted to play the record and we wanted it to sound, as close to the record as possible. So enter synths. And in fact, that show we had three backing vocalists.
It's just quite fun, isn't it? Well,
yeah, we like Ryan. We like keeping him around.
And Paul. I like Paul as well. I like
having them around. It's nice. It's also nice as a couple to have adjudicators, so you just do something, but someone else.
We agree all the time.
All the time.
We never seem to disagree.
Absolutely, we do. Yeah.
And then obviously, I mean, like when we actually talk about your music, I think there's been comparisons made to the acts like Queens of the Stone Age, to acts like Eagles Death Metal and so on. Yeah, I was wondering, like for you guys, I mean, what were your kind of influences then? Because I think it was quite versatile. And then the other thing I want to talk about is like you guys are from Bristol, and actually through Jade, I've been kind of listening to a lot of like Bristol music, like being exposed to it, and I find that it's like a very versatile music scene from what I can tell. How do you guys think you fit in then in the kind of music scene?
I don't think we fit in at all in Bristol. Bristol's really not. I don't think rock bands are. You got punk bands from Idols that spawned from the Idols kind of success. That's the thing, with people kind of shouting stuff over a microphone with like heavy music in the background, and then you got lots and lots of like jazz and experimental jazz. And the days seem to have been gone with just the big bands with two rappers and a horn section. That seems to have kind of died down quite a lot, thank God. But like, I think there's not. I don't know. I wouldn't know. We've got a lot of friends, and I feel like that are in the music scene here as well. And I feel like their kind of style is really what the Bristol thing is at the moment. I don't think it's us at all.
You know what? We don't go out very much, to be honest. We're normally locked in a studio or rehearsal room or gigging somewhere, and then when we do have a day off, it's face masks and pizza and a movie. I mean, maybe we can go out and see what's going on. You love a face mask. Oh, you tell us what's going on in Bristol right now. What's the music scene like?
Well, I don't know. I'm not from there, but I'm just saying from what I heard from like what Jade has been kind of sending me a lot. Like I was listening to My Octopus Mind. I was listening to a few like of the artists that she's like promoting and stuff, and I was just thinking like how kind of like from my perspective, it just seems like every time she sends me something new, like it's just so there's no like consistency, like no two acts I've heard have sounded the same. So.
Yeah. I do love that about Bristol, though. The one of the things I really love about Bristol is that like anything goes. It's like I used to say it's like a constant all year round festival. Like there's a real freedom of individuality in Bristol, and I think that's a really lovely thing about it. So
yeah, there's people got friends that do drum bass. My brother does lots of like hip hop stuff. And then there's obviously there's these like amazing jazz bands, and then people kind of rap over it, and it's really cool. And then you got a few. There's definitely lots of stuff. There's not just kind of one thing.
I'm really varied over here.
Whereabouts are you from? Where are you?
Dublin.
You in Dublin? Oh, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, one thing I want to talk about was your new single then, On the Line, which is coming out. I was wondering if maybe you could talk a little bit about this, because from my perspective, I was listening to it seems like very much kind of in tune with the kind of swinging kind of rock vibes that you guys have kind of familiarized yourselves with. So I was wondering from your perspective, I mean, how you think this single differs from maybe previous releases, or
I think it's a lot more upbeat than some of the ones we put on the first album. It got quite dark for a while. Kind of, it was a bit quite moody
teenage years,
which I loved as well. And these ones are a little bit more kind of just a bit more upbeat, a bit more rocky, a bit more energetic, a bit more fun. We wrote that track when we rented a farm in Wales for a couple of months. And we did a big writing session, and this was one of the tracks that came out of that, and one of our favorite ones.
Yeah, this was back in there was like a little break in the lockdown when we thought it was all over. We immediately, as soon as we could, got out there and did some writing, didn't we? We had some friends, musical friends, come in and out and write with us. And there was a friend of ours called James Graham who came in, who was involved in the writing of this track. I think I was allowed to run the room for this one, wasn't I, for a change? But yeah, then obviously we went back into lockdown, so we had to finish everything off after that, and it's just one that's really stuck with us, even though we've done a lot of things since then and kind of written a lot of music since then. This one has really stayed with us, and we've been finding the right time to bring it out, and now feels like the right time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of your music projects kind of just coincided with, your recording music projects kind of coincided with COVID in a lot of ways. I think you guys began recording for your first album around 2019, which kind of like would have just prior to COVID. And then obviously the album came out, I think, at the tail end of 2021, kind of when lockdown was sort of easing. Do you still think like that? Do you find that you guys have moved past that now, or do you still find that the kind of residual, I guess the residual effects of the lockdowns are still kind of like have affected the way you guys have recorded?
Yeah, interesting.
I don't think it's affected the way we've recorded. I think it was a massive. It was really bad timing for us because we obviously just made this record, and then when COVID hit, we couldn't really release it because we couldn't tour it or do anything with it. And then during COVID, the label that recorded it kind of went bankrupt because Brexit stopped any of their funding or something like that. I don't know the details. So there was a big kind of 2-3 year gap from making the album to putting it out. And obviously, it kind of felt like when we recorded it, it was really exciting. And it felt kind of current for us. And then, waiting 3 years to put something out was, I mean, we recorded a whole bunch of new stuff before. We recorded 20 new songs before the album even came out, like demo versions of it. Mm-hmm. And so then to put out a record that we'd made 3 years before was kind of odd, because it just didn't feel like that's what we were doing anymore.
We've grown up a lot.
We didn't want to not put it out because we thought it was a great record, and we really enjoyed making it. So there was just they kind of really threw a spanner in the works, I guess, but obviously for us, for so many other people as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of waiting around in the music industry because you write a song, you have the idea for a song, it might not be for a year that it gets produced, and then from that point it might not be a year, it might be another year until it's even thought about being released. And I think what COVID has done is stretched all of that time even more, because we were a little fun 2-piece party band before Funnel came along, and kind of they do a lot of artist development, and I guess they kind of gave us a bit of edge and maturity, which they worked on with us over a long period of time, which is, I guess, explains that gap. But then obviously from the beginning process of recording this album, and then COVID hitting, and then having no support, financial support, or any contacts to actually know what we're doing with releasing it. Yeah. That obviously has been difficult, but it also means we've had this big backlog of stuff that we've written, which is again why there's been a delay with writing on the line and then it coming out. So hopefully one day we'll catch up with our tail. But...
I really want to start making a tune and putting it out in the same month.
Yeah, the same month. Yeah. I think moving forward we might start doing that and DIYing things a little bit more. Fitz is an incredible producer. He's with some really incredible acts. And so I think we might start just like throwing things out as they come, like kind of more real time, like Instagram stories.
Yeah. But then actually, so I believe, if I'm correct, your album is actually financed through crowdfunding. Is that correct?
Yeah.
No.
Well, no. Yeah.
That's not correct. The album was financed by Funnel.
Yeah.
Right.
Who paid for it all to be recorded, and we went to Rockfield. It was great, and they paid for Stu and kind of paid for all the videos and stuff. And then the crowdfunder paid for all of the production of it, because that was after they kind of ended as a company. Mm-hmm. So that paid for all the a couple of extra videos to promote it. That paid pressings. For all the vinyl pressings, mastering, and
Sorry, go on.
No, it's okay.
But then, do you find that kind of flowering then when it's like it's directly like fan funded, like the actual distribution of the album, let's say, like when you see that kind of direct fan funding and how's that kind of feel then? I guess
it was incredible. We were really lucky, and we were really grateful for all the help from our fans, because I think we pre-sold 300 or 400 of the vinyl, which really allowed, because when we did the crowdfunder, it wasn't necessarily just people just pre-ordered stuff mainly, and then we had a few extra donations, but a lot of it was just buying a vinyl for 20 quid before it was even in production, which made it all kind of possible. So, I mean, yeah, we were forever grateful for that, because we were, at that time, we really had no idea what we were going to do, or how we were going to put this thing out. So they made it all possible, and we were really, really, really happy about that. And that was wonderful.
Yeah, it was amazing, as we'd all been like locked in our houses and not doing shows and not getting that, you know, dopamine hit of a physical applause at the end of a song, kind of sitting there like, does anyone even remember who we are? And doing this crowdfunding and realizing that we have all these people supporting us. We felt so very, very, very grateful and very humbled by that.
How do you think that your live shows compare to the recordings? Because I've heard a lot of like really good things about your live shows. I haven't had the opportunity to see it yet myself. How do you think the two differ?
So the stuff that we currently have out, I think, is, like I said, there's a big delay. So I think I think that it's been a journey with us with recording. We were kind of in our childhood when we first started recording, musical childhood, where it was just silly and fun and games and like woo. And then we went through this like moody teenager phase with Stu, where we started to grow up. And then since then we've kind of come into adulthood in a way, or young adulthood, I guess, in that we're marrying together that edge and like that the way that we can put a song together in a recording setting, and the way that we approach it with that fun element as well. So I think the
live shows are just sillier and more fun.
Yeah, there's a lot more fun, silly stuff in there.
Yeah, so I guess like when you kind of like listen to your music, I mean, that kind of like fun sort of edge, I think is very evident actually. I think just on the recordings. Yeah. Do you like going forward, would that be kind of like, I don't know, would you be trying to kind of synchronize the two, or do you think like you're content to have like the live show be one thing and the recordings be another, or would like something like a live album or something be something that you guys would think of? Or
I think with just like, I think it's the choice of songs really, and you know, I think we play a lot of sorry. We play a lot of like festivals and places where people kind of just want to have a good time and not necessarily just want to kind of listen to the music too much, I guess. Yeah. So we kind of want to facilitate for people just wanting to enjoy themselves, you know, because it's not really, you know, a show really isn't about us. It's really about the people that we're playing to. And if they're having a really good time and really enjoying it, then that's kind of our job, and that's what we're there. I think what we're there to do, rather than just kind of be there to kind of play our emotions out, which can get kind of tedious. So, I mean, I think we are definitely trying to make all the new material is a lot more fun, and it's a lot less about the kind of the darkness and more about the light. Okay.
I guess I have two final questions. So the first is, is On the Line then the new singles you record in Wales in lieu of a larger project, like maybe an album or an EP, or is the plan is just to release a series of singles at the moment?
At the moment, I think it's just a series of singles. On the Line, we actually recorded in Bath with a guy called Mark McNabjack and Russell Marsden from Band of Skulls, who are a great band who I really like. Mm-hmm. And they produced that version of On the Line, and we did it with them in Mark's studio, just because we didn't record it in Wales, we just wrote it in Wales. Okay. What was your original question?
Yeah, so I was just saying, it's just in lieu of a larger project like an album or an EP, singles you're currently releasing.
I think it might go on an EP. I don't think they'll be part of an album, just because I kind of want to. I mean, I really want to try and get an album together that's a little bit more like succinct together. So I'd like to spend a couple of months just writing and recording a record as like capturing a moment in time, rather than it being like loads of songs, you know, over a period of time.
Sure.
Just because I think that's kind of more fun. But you know, to be honest, really to do that, we kind of need some like a label or something to kind of help get that, because it's really expensive. We found it was quite expensive recording tracks and putting them out on your own. You know, it works out about to record it ourselves we can do, but it's never quite as good as working with another producer just to get another perspective on the song. But really, like, we spend maybe £1,200 each tune to put it out, and then the revenue we make back isn't much. So it's quite hard to the idea of making like a whole album is, we've got to save up for that. But we're going out to the Alps in March next year for like a 6-week tour, playing the bars and stuff. So we'll save up something from that and hopefully put it into making a record.
Okay.
Which would be great.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to ask, speaking of tour, is that you have a tour coming up next month. I believe it's from October 9th to the 22nd. It's to support the single. I was wondering what people can kind of expect if they come along, and kind of what your expectations are.
A real good time. We don't have, our expectations are low, so any kind of anyone that turns up is going to be an absolute a great thing for us. So anybody in a room is going to be a nice little thing for the two of us.
Yeah, it's always quite exciting going into cities that you've only played in once or twice, forever ago. It's always great to meet new people, and to play our music in as many different cities as possible. So we're just really excited to get out there and say hi to some people.
I think actually, because I know you guys played like loads of festivals. I mean, how does doing the headline shows compare to those?
They're a bit different because the festivals kind of tend to be, everyone's a little more lubricated, I guess.
Okay.
There's a massive inbuilt crowd as well. So it's we were working with Chai Wallace, the stage, this summer, which was just incredible. We were really fortunate to have that opportunity to play to a massive tent just full of people, and to get such a good reaction was amazing this year. But the difference with the headline show in small venues is that it's kind of on us really to pull the people. There's more pressure, isn't it?
Sure.
Yeah, you've got to sell tickets, whereas at festivals people are just there and up for it, really.
Yeah, in cities where people don't really know us. So if you got any promotional tips, let us know.
Well, that's everything I had to ask. Is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up, or?
Sorry, what did you say?
That's everything I had to ask. Is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up, or?
No, thanks though. That was a nice interview, and that was great.
Thanks very much, and best of luck with your release and everything you have going forward.
Oh, cheers, man!
Thanks so much.
Hopefully, we'll get to come over to Dublin and play.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be there.
I've been to Ireland. I've been to Ireland twice. The first time was when I was a kid, and it was on a military base camp, and I got bitten in the nipple by a pony. And I was about 8 years old and developed a terrible phobia of horses from that moment. And then the second time, I was driving a band's gear for them to play, I think, in Dublin, and I found this pub that was did the best Guinness, and I just sat there and had 5 Guinnesses, but they were done in the old taps, and all the people were dressed up, and it was wicked. And I watched the horse races, and it was just amazing.
Okay,
and my birthday's the 17th of March, and my second name's Fitzgerald, so I've got somewhere. I'm definitely feel the Irishness.
I just like how both your Irish stories connect to horses.
Yeah.
You
had fear of and got over your fear of.
I haven't gotten over the fear of fucking petrified of the
Also stands for donkeys as well. I want that on record.
Yeah,
terrified of donkeys.
Oh, awful.
Well, thanks very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate that.
Appreciate it, man. Take care. Thank you for listening to that episode of Post-Burnout.com interviews. We hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more.